You're watching Camnet News. Thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening: pupils at MISANGWA Primary School in MUSHINDAMO sitting on the floor while learning. New Heritage Party predicts a long term for the United Party of National Development if the opposition remains disorganized. Avoid the choir of negativity. Government advises the young people. In international news, fighting rocks Sudan capital as regular army battles paramilitaries. And in sports news, Tunisia footballer dies after setting himself alight in protest.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Once again, thank you for choosing us. The news in detail. A former businessman has advised government to come up with deliberate policies that will ensure that every district in northwestern province has a milling company. Davis Mbalao comes amidst a critical shortage of mill meal across the country. Mr. Mbalao is disappointed that residents of Solwezi district are queuing up to purchase the 25 bag of mill meal when the district produces a lot of maize, which he says should not be the case. Mr. Mbalao will not start just like Solwezi, or districts should have milling plants.
Just by meal, for me I would say that it's the foundation which was bad. Because when you lay a soft foundation, when the foundation is weak, definitely even the structures that we build there are weak. So the foundation I'm talking about, these are the past governments that have been there. They didn't lay a strong foundation where UPND was going to build on. But now we have to talk about solutions. Now the UPND should lay a strong foundation. How do they lay a strong foundation? Or how do we lay a strong foundation? I feel that there should be a deliberate policy where in every district we put a milling plant, because maize is produced from here. There's no way in Solwezi we can be queuing for milling meal. Maize is produced from here, so it should be grinded from here, packed from here, and sold from here. But if let's say we go to APG and then we find there is no mill meal there, or there is a shortage of mill meal, let's help them. Let's help them by giving them the maize that they need, so that they are able to give to everyone in need of mill meal in Northwestern and as well as in Solwezi.
Meanwhile, some residents of Solwezi have observed that the shortage of mill meal in the district is due to some milling plants serving the commodity for export. Lewis Lukama, a resident, says milling companies in the district must prioritize Zambians first before selling mill meal to other countries. He has appealed to government to close some entry points on the border in order to avoid shortage of mill meal in the country.
Get up to MP because the MP, the minister, to get a target of Kiabu. But think a border, we know to be kwa kuboto munga leo kusike munga
market mozo matri and nesakucha wa mabonso 300 nomba ina chipeleka 180 akasaka shiba mwene bachibamukuna bachira tubenga machira nomba ngai bachibafuka babonsa abantu bachisula nomba ina nalata shani shiba mwene ko bafumine ko bachavuyokunga shishi.
Still on the issue of mini-mill, the Small Scale Farmers Development Agency says small-scale farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program should be supported from soil preparation until harvest to help them ensure maximum yields. Speaking to Camnet News, Agency Director Boy states that Zambia is currently facing a crisis of mini-mill smuggling, as many farmers want to gain maximum profit out of their produce by selling to neighboring countries where the demand is high. However, notes that this trend leads to low supply of mini-mill in Zambia. The agriculture expert therefore notes that ensuring maximum yields for both local supply and export could help in curbing the vice of maize and mini-mill smuggling in future while creating employment opportunities for the Zambian people. He has also called for the formulation of strong policies to curb the vice of mini-mill smuggling to ensure that the local market is satisfied first before export.
Let's see how best we assist the farmers from the time of land preparation up to the time of harvest or marketing. There must be a proper arrangement of supporting farmers. I remember at one time during Kaunda era, Lima Bank used to assist the farmer weeding, financial support for weeding, cultivating, harvesting, and so on. So let's see how we bring back that to help the farmers be able to produce enough for the country. Okay, we have to ensure that farmers produce according to technical aspect. I mean, how the experts are telling us how much we should produce per hectare. This is affecting us. We have got a lot of farmers in this country, but because we are not producing enough as farmers, you find that to meet the target, the FRA target, or to have the national food security, it requires a lot of farmers to do the production. But if farmers were able to produce 8 tons, 6 tons per hectare and so on, I tell you, even a handful of farmers can be able to fluctuate the market, can be able to supply the food reserve agents, and the rest can mobilize themselves for export. So you see, so we are facing these challenges because whatever we produce is not enough.
In other news, pupils at MISANGWA Primary School in MUSHINDAMO district of Northwestern Province will continue sitting on the floor if government does not procure desks in the second term. School head teacher Samson Kapako says the school has continued grappling with shortage of desks, forcing learners to sit on the bare floor during lessons. Mr. Kapako has appealed to government to ensure it procures desks before the second term to allow pupils learning be conducive. Meanwhile, Mushindamo lawmaker Dr. Alex Katakwe assured the school management that plans to procure desks for the school are underway. MISANGWA Primary School has 137 pupils.
Now that we are given a new block, I think we are more happy because our pupils now today and the years to come, they are going to have somewhere where they can learn from. It's a very brand new block, and we are just looking forward to start using the structure. The block was given or is given to us today, but it's like we have no desks. This one was promised, but we've seen that the commissioning is done, and anytime soon we'll be again opening classes. I don't know where our pupils will be sitting. So this one, it has to be taken so that maybe before we open schools, desks can be given to them.
The government has given us allocation, and the president has said by the end of 2023, no child should be sitting on the floor. And we have done the assessment as a local authority, a Ministry of Education. We know the numbers of desks that we need for Mushindamo district. And we have just seen that the government, through the means of Finance has now started releasing the money to the local government so that we begin to get our shares as a CDF. Then that money will be put to good use in terms of manufacturing our desks.
A group of women in Lusaka's Chivolia compound, Kanyama constituency, have urged their fellow women who failed to get funding from cooperative funding under the Constituency Development Fund not to give up, stating that there are many ways to kickstart their businesses on their own. Speaking to Camnet News, one of the women, Imelda Mbewe, says she, along with others, failed to get money from CDF but resulted in coming up with their own initiative. The women note that many of their counterparts have given up, but they themselves refuse to do so. Let's look at this.
Since the introduction of cooperative funding under the Constituency Development Fund in 2022, those who have not made it, blaming the lack of knowledge on how to write business proposals, seem to have taken it as a passport to venture into unproductive activities, stating that their fate has been sealed. Many of these have voiced out their lack of interest to try their luck in upcoming CDF opportunities for funding after failing the first time. A group of 5 women in Lusaka's Chivolia compound, however, state that there is need to realize that CDF is simply one of the many available funding opportunities and not the only opportunity. The women say they have, as an example, set up a business for themselves where they farm groundnuts and crush them into peanut butter, which they sell in the local community.
Timakazinga pinadi, tikakazinga shaba kunyumba. Tabwera kulusaka, kagayisa pinadi. Kuchoka hapo tambogulisa. Kuchira mukhala chabe. Tizipezera ndalama mpinadi. Kuchira kuyenda chabe kumoba nikutaya ntawo. This time nikuzionera usati kulindira chabe mwamuna kuti akupasi.
The women have therefore urged the fellows to take up the challenge as opposed to being engaged in unproductive vices.
Peanut butter kashava, then ukasiriza waikamu ukavende, wapukuta then waikamu ukavende, watwa, wateka chimwala sio wayapo, kena soko, then waikamu mabotu we.
So imapangika smooth so chat.
Imapangika smooth. Yopera kachimwala. Kugulisa ni foto.
Chito yanga nima chita business ya peanut. Nima kazinga kunyumba. Nikabwera kuno na bwera na kulisa ndalama na kuchita vovala kuvalika bana. Siniyembekeza mutati anichitire yayi. Tumbuwa tonse nipanga. Niyo business yanga initandiza maningo usati kuyenda chabe kubuhule na kumova mazima etisiye ito.
They state that they have been able to continue improving their business in the long run using the profit they make. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Director spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media, Tavo Kawana, has advised youths countrywide to move out of their comfort zone and act towards the change they want to see. Speaking as guest of honor at the Global Empowerment Summit in Lusaka Saturday, Mr. Kawana says government has put in place measures that support the growth of young people into the entrepreneurial space through interventions such as youth empowerment funds, a component under the Constituency Development Fund. Mr. Kawana says it is government's desire to see young enthusiasts take up their space and play a critical role of personal and national development without leaving anyone behind. Meanwhile, host of the event, Inonge Imbula, says young people have the power to change the fortunes of their lives if they begin to act upon that which they want to see. Let's look at this.
Young people in Zambia account for more than 1/3 of Zambia's population, according to the 2022 Census of Housing and Population, representing a key part of the country. This means that change is mainly supposed to be driven by the young people in various sectors of the economy for meaningful development to be achieved. But challenges such as lack of employment among other empowerment programs are hard to come by for many. This is despite government allocating at least 20% of the Constituency Development Fund allocation towards youth and women empowerment, with other respective departments also offering some form of empowerment differently. Saturday, young people met at a Global Empowerment Summit aimed at unlocking the potential of young people as a push for them to be self-reliant and network with other people. Speaking at the summit, Director Spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, encouraged young people to get up and do things that empower their lives without waiting for anyone.
Young people in Zambia need to begin to change how they reason, how they think, and how they move going forward. Don't be part of the choir that is always looking for negativity, always looking for something to complain about. Be the one that goes out to look for opportunities. And I saw on one of the papers, I think it's yesterday or the other day, and I want to believe it must have been Daily Mail. There was a motivational quote there that says a lot of people miss opportunities because opportunity comes dressed in an overalls, and a lot of people ignore it.
Mr. Kawana has meanwhile commended the young people who are trying to defy the odds into the path of success.
I'm very happy to see and note that in this summit, the majority are young people, and that's what we need. We need young Zambians who have a change of mindset, who think differently. Don't be the one that says CDF is not accessible. Be the one that asks, how can I access CDF? Where are the forms? What do they need for me to fill in? Not because you hate to fill in forms, therefore you only jump to conclusion that CDF, it is not accessible. Meanwhile, your colleagues, fellow young people, are using the same CDF to progress themselves. They are going to school. They are going to high learning institutions. They are acquiring skills for themselves. Skills that they later come to use to gain employment for themselves and create employment for others, while you want to sit there and complain. It is time to change the mindset.
And event organizer Inonge Imbula says the meeting themed personal development at its peak. And event organizer Inonge Imbula says the meeting themed personal development at its peak is aimed at bringing together entrepreneurs, employees, students, and everyone trying to establish the roadmap to success.
It's personal development at its peak. What this simply means is your development, getting you to a place where you become the best version of yourself. So personal development is actually a consequence of personal awareness. I will start by asking you, who are you? What is your vision? What vision are you currently pursuing?
Reporting for Camnet TV News.
The New Heritage Party has charged that the United Party for National Development is banking its confidence to continue ruling the country for a long time on the disorganization of many opposition political parties, despite signs that it has gone off track on its promises to the Zambian people. In an interview, Ms. Kateka says current indicators in the country show that Zambians are not benefiting from the national cake. She has therefore advised the opposition to reorganize themselves and offer an alternative government, or that the ruling party should pull up its socks, as it is not about changing the face of the people in office, but about national development.
Many players on Zambia's political space have been charging that the country lacks a strong opposition force which can offer sound alternatives to the government of the day, as well as to offer effective checks and balances. This is because the largest opposition party, which is the former ruling Patriotic Front, which was voted out of office in August 2021, has been accused of offering questionable checks and balances, which have been described as malicious and not constructive. The Democratic Party, which came out third in the said general elections, has also since split, and a new political party formed out of those who left the party. The opposition New Heritage Party, led by Tishala Kateka, has therefore charged that there is no strong opposition force to offer itself as an established alternative, calling for unity in the opposition for common good.
The State House Media Director, Mr. Clayton Hamasaka, asked the question, if HH were to leave office, who amongst the opposition would be able to take over from him? And he concluded that there is none. It is interesting to note that Mr. Hamasaka did not defend the UPND, and there are many political mistakes which we have all seen, but he justified the stay of the UPND on the basis that there is no one in opposition to be able to take over from HH. It is to take a national approach to the resolution of this national crisis that we find ourselves in. It's about restoring the collective national ethos of the nation of Zambia, a nation that had started out full of promise.
Ms. Kateka has further urged the current administration to conduct an introspection and fulfill what it promised the Zambian people.
Where do we draw the line? At what point are we going to dovetail? At what point are we going to meet and come together? This approach that we are currently seeing is very myopic and is not conducive to unity at all. Without this unity that we are talking about, this country will not progress. We will not deliver. We will not move forward. We will continue to wallow in the space that we are in. Number two, restoration. We need to restore the soul of this nation. The citizenship needs to be restored to all Zambians. This is the purpose for which we got our independence. We need to reset the settings that we had at independence. We need to ask ourselves the question, what was the project that we promised ourselves? Where are we now in relation to where we should be or where we could be?
The NHP party president asked that there is need to move from the narrative of attaching development to the face of an individual, stating that it should be a collective venture by all concerned citizens. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Thousands of jobs are set to be created in Zambia after 3 entities have signed a memorandum of understanding which will see Mezu Zambia, a company headquartered in Tanzania, connecting them with investors under a financing system called Sukuk Bond, which has a total financing of $4.299 billion United States dollars. Addressing the media Saturday morning on the development, Mezu Zambia Company Limited Chief Executive Officer Sheikh Isa Mohammed says key projects will be financed under this initiative, namely road infrastructure, housing, agriculture and renewable energy. The projects have been selected through identifying gaps that need urgent filling if Zambia is to see meaningful development.
Zambia is a land lying with so many opportunities in all sectors, but many of these opportunities have remained untapped owing to limited financing. Key stakeholders on the global business space have therefore suggested alternative financing through bonds, which will see local companies in Zambia making billions of United States dollars, trickling down into employment creation and overall growth of the economy in the long run. Mezu Zambia Company Limited, working with the People's Bank of Zanzibar, entities based in Tanzania, have identified 5 Zambian companies to benefit from a bond called the Sukuk Bond in key areas such as housing, infrastructure, and renewable energy. Mezu Zambia Company Limited Chief Executive Officer Sheikh Isa Mohammed Hamed was speaking during a signing ceremony with representatives of the selected companies Saturday morning.
and this will give the two sides to meet in a win-win situation. Actually, it is like a PPP, mode, public-private partnership, if the government will be issuing a sukuk bond. But if these are only corporate, it can be PP, public to public, which means people will buy and the Zambian will have opportunity to invest in their own country. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, our job is to kickstart this process. We have our partners who are registered with capital markets to deal in alternative financing capital market products, which is called Yusra Sukuk Company Limited, based in Dar es Salaam. We will be, and this will be the Sukuk bond lead arrangers. We are only helping these guys to go and get the way through them. In Tanzania, this mode of financing is gaining ground as well. For a short period of 2 years, alternative financing Sukuk bond for corporates were issued, and we have raised 64.5 billion Tanzanian shillings in a period of two years.
Other stakeholders also had their say.
So all these nice projects that everybody has talked about, at the end of the day, there's something called financing. They have to pass through a bank. And our bank is actually both conventional and Islamic banking. So with these sukuk bonds, they have to pass through a bank that is Sharia compliant. My bank has a Sharia compliant board.
Apart from the construction of the roads, we are going to construct the border facilities with the Democratic of Congo and manage them for the number of years that the concession period of the road is going to be. On top of that, we are going to construct a dry port with the help with the government, because there will be a bilateral agreement between Congo and Zambia. So government will be fully involved in the development of dry port.
The housing shortage this country is facing is 3 million units. And to be able to cover this, we need to be building at least 200,000 units per year for 20 years.
The signing ceremony did not go without the blessing of the United Party for National Development, UPND Alliance.
You know that Zambia is in dire need of project finance at macro and at macro levels. We are highly indebted right now, and lending even from banks can be a little bit of a challenge for the SMEs. Today, we have in our midst people who have brought alternative financing for projects that are going to be undertaken in this country.
With the future looking bright for Zambia, hopes are high that this will be one of the tools to lift the country out of poverty. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Mbabala constituency Member of Parliament Joseph Monsanje says he has rolled out a program of sensitizing farmers in his constituency against planting on lowland to avoid losing all their crops to floods in the next season. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Monsanje says a lot of farmers lost nearly all their crops to floods in the 2022-2023 farming season, a situation he says should not be the case. He adds that his office has also begun identifying bridges that are dilapidated or were washed away by floods to see that they are worked on as soon as possible using the constituency development funds.
Message, given the continued flooding which we have experienced 2 years running, we encourage people not to plow or cultivate in riverbeds. People must move away from riverbeds in terms of planting there, because these are now prone to flooding and silt and many other devastations that come with heavy rains and the like. We also encourage people not to cross flooded streams because they are dangerous. They can easily be swept off. We already lost 3 people last year, and we have lost 1 person this year. So we encourage people not to cross flooded streams and to respect the waters. Give them the time until the water goes down. And we also encouraging people to ensure that they support each other and communicate well. In terms of houses, let's construct quality houses and utilize the correct amount of cement, for example, putting good foundations, putting good walls and quality roofs so that we don't lose houses anyhow. Construction quality is key. So as we are taking many more youths to, for example, Mawagari and the other places where we are training them, let's utilize these youths who have gone to do bricklaying, because they will come with the higher standards in terms of construction. And let's utilize also those who have gone for carpentry and the like, because they will come with higher standards to do roofs and the like.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
You know I can take Arabic.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Mike Mposha says water and sanitation utilities across the country are losing huge sums of money annually due to non-revenue water, which stood at an average of 50% in 2022. Speaking during the launch of the 2022 Water and Sanitation Sector Report by the National Water and Sanitation Council, NWASCO, Friday evening, Mr. Mposha says these can mainly be blamed on the dilapidated infrastructure, which causes a lot of water to go unaccounted for, as well as illegal connections. He has therefore charged that water and sanitation utility companies across the country need to address the existing problems and maximize revenue generation if it is to offer excellent customer service. He notes that ensuring excellent service delivery is key to attaining Sustainable Development Goal number 6 under Vision 2030, which calls for easy access to safe and clean drinking water for all.
I wish to urge ministry staff to work closely with other stakeholders and ensure that the revision of the national non-revenue water strategy that expired in 2018 is expedited and concluded before the end of second quarter 2023. Mambea. Now, you have heard. I'm reliably informed that the implementation of the previous non-revenue water strategy did not yield any positive results. Therefore, The revised non-revenue water strategy must be pragmatic to ensure reduction of high non-revenue water. Ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative that utility companies also improve their operational efficiencies, such as revenue collection, energy utilization, as well as staff performance.
Transport and Logistics Minister Frank Tayali says rail transport of bulk cargo is the best mode of transportation to address decarbonization. Mr. Tayali said the Zambian government is working on modernizing the railway sector to ensure that it manages the huge traffic volumes of bulk cargo. He said this during a panel discussion looking at the future of sustainable logistics on the sidelines of the 2023 World Bank Group International Monetary Fund spring meetings in Washington, D.C. He told the meeting that the cost of doing business should be transformed in a sustainable manner. Mr. Tayali said Zambia is now focused on using the railway sector in transporting bulk cargo. Mr. Tayali says Zambia is working with the World Bank to develop a national logistic strategy, which is now underway.
Basically for this sole purpose of putting into perspective the importance of the management of the cargo and indeed people that have to be moved in a more efficient and more greener, manner. And so, just like I said yesterday, Zambia sits in a very unique position of having, 8+1 neighbors, and the responsibility of coordinating, the cargo that has to traverse my country to go to these different neighbors is quite a daunting task. And we have looked at, for instance, border facilities, the need to have not just one-stop border posts, but now we're rephrasing that to be a non-stop border post, where systems of the different neighboring countries can begin to talk to one another. That once a ship has docked and at Beira.
The United Nations World Food Programme has facilitated the formation of over 2,300 savings groups across 16 districts in the country, resulting in a cumulative value of 1,130,000 in savings. The savings group, also supported by strengthening climate resilience of agricultural livelihoods in agroecology regions 1 and 2 in Zambia, project funded by the Green Climate Fund. Southern Province Principal Agricultural Officer Paul Nyambe says 7 groups have an estimated value of 1,100,000 in loans that have since been loaned to members of the savings groups. Mr. Nyambe says the total savings currently in the coffers and the loans given out to members across the 16 districts in 7 groups are at 2,230,000. Mr. Nyambe was speaking when he officially opened a 4-day training for savings groups transitioning to Savings and Credit Cooperative Society drawn from Namwala, Siavonga, Chirundo and Monze.
The World Food Programme of the United Nations has facilitated the formation of over 2,300 savings groups across the 16 districts in the country, resulting in cumulative value of 1,130,000 in savings. The savings groups are also supported by the Strengthening Climate Resilience of Agricultural Livelihoods in Agroecological Regions 1 and 2 in Zambia project, funded by the Green Climate Fund. Southern Province Principal Agricultural Officer Paul Nyambe says the savings groups have an estimated value of 1,100,000 in loans that have since been loaned to members of the savings groups. Mr. Nyambe was speaking when he officially opened a 4-day training for savings groups transitioning to savings and credit cooperative societies drawn from Namala, Siavonga and Chirundo in Monze.
The money which was loaned out to your members was 1,100,000 kwacha, almost 50-50. What you have in savings and what you have loaned out together is 2,230,000 kwacha.
And Monze District Agriculture Coordinator Aubrey Chanda has implored the participants to tap in the opportunities made available by the new Dawn administration to bring development in their areas.
New Dawn government has brought for us. We need to tap in. Once doors open, please, we need to take these opportunities.
Silent Hapompwe is Mbeza Ward Councillor in Namala.
As SACCO comes in, it will enable them to have relevant documents that will help them access CDF, in which they can do more.
Reporting, Lawrence Kabutu in Monze, Southern Province.
We take another break. Still to come is international and sports news. Stay with us.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, explosions rocked the Sudanese capital Side as paramilitaries and the regular army started attacks on each other's bases days after the army warned the country was at a dangerous turning point. The paramilitaries said they were in control of the presidential palace as well as Khartoum airport, claims denied by the army as civilian leaders called for an immediate ceasefire to prevent the country's total collapse. The eruption of violence came weeks after deepening tensions between the military leader Abdel Fattah and his number 2 paramilitary commander Mohamed Hamdou Daglo over the planned interrogation of the paramilitary rapid support forces into the regular army. Here is a roundup of international news.
African air travel has made a robust recovery, nearly reaching pre-pandemic levels, an Association of African Carriers has said in a new report. The African Airlines Association said traffic in March reached 94.8% of 2019 levels as more international routes and tourism reopened. It noted that domestic flights accounted for 37% of the March traffic, with intra-Africa flights at 31%, and intercontinental travel at 32%. Data also shows that the total number of intercontinental routes operated by African airlines have exceeded pre-COVID levels since October 2022. The association said that African airlines are also on course to narrow their revenue gap in 2023. African airlines lost $3.5 billion in revenue in 2022. The COVID-19 pandemic hit African airlines hard as travel restrictions led to the grounding of aircraft and suspension of routes. Some airlines, such as Air Namibia and Air Mauritius, completely folded, while others, such as South African Airways and Kenya's flag carrier KQ, needed big bailout funding from the state to keep flying. Video footage showed plumes of smoke billowing into the Khartoum skyline Saturday as clashes between Sudan's armed forces and paramilitaries known as Rapid Support Forces intensified. Residents have reported hearing loud explosions and small arms fire close to the city's international airport and a nearby air base. Clashes were also reported in the twin city of Omdurman. Tensions have been building in Sudan in recent days after the country missed a deadline to form a civilian government. There's been no word from the country's army leaders, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and Mohamed Daglo, on Saturday's events.
That's it for international news. We go straight into sports news. A professional footballer in Tunisia has died after setting himself alight earlier this week in what he called as a protest against police state ruling the country, his brother said Friday. Nisa Esau, 35, suffered third-degree burns from his action in the village of Hafous in the central region of Karoum, his brother Raid told AFP. He was taken from the hospital in Koriam to the specialist burns hospital in the capital Tunis, but doctors were unable to save his life.
Emotions ran high as mourners carried the casket containing the body of Nisa Isawi ahead of his burial on Friday. A professional footballer, Isawi succumbed to burns sustained when he set fire to himself in a protest against police harassment. My brother was accused of terrorism. Why? For telling the people selling bananas and other things who run the market not to sell bananas to a young boy for 10 dinars. He told him to sell it to him for 5 dinars, the same price they sell to the police. They surrounded my brother and beat him up. Then they went to file a complaint. News of Isawi's death sparked protests in Tunisia's Kairouan region, and there were clashes with security forces.
That note ends our news. The headlines once again. Pupils at MISANGWA Primary School in MUSHINDAMO sitting on the floor while learning. New Heritage Party predicts a long term for the United Party for National Development if the opposition remains disorganized. Avoid the choir of negativity. Government advises the young people. In international news, fighting rocks Sudan capital as regular army battles paramilitaries. And in sports news, Tunisia footballer dies after setting himself alight in protest. We look at the Camnet verse of the day. It's coming from Romans 13:7, and it reads, "Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor." Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good night and keep watching.